Okay. So, I mean, we're all familiar with the story of Israel in Egypt and God hearing their cries and coming and rescuing them by sending Moses and the plagues and the Red Sea parting. But there's a phrase in Exodus 19 that just really captures me as interesting. It says, verse 4, Exodus 19:4 says, "You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt and how I carried you on eagle's wings
Mm.
and brought you to myself."
Mm.
And so we know that he was bringing them to the wilderness and then ultimately to the promised land. But you have this phrase that he's bringing them to himself. And I think for our writing, like Israel had, we've got that mission, that task, that we've got our nose to the grindstone. We feel called to do it. Maybe we've been doing it for years. Maybe it's a project that it's not going anywhere, but our heart's in that. And God has called us to do that, and that's obedience. Just as he's called them to go to the promised land, he's called them to be that nation. But ultimately, he was calling them to himself.
Mm.
And we know that's ultimately what he's doing for us through this writing journey, through everything we do. He is calling us deeper into that relationship with him. So for me, just this morning in my quiet time, so from my story, I'd been a pastor for several years, felt called to write, finally started writing, and then have felt the call to go out and write full time and speak full time on what I was writing about. No, nothing set up, nothing established, no income, nothing. You know how it goes, right? And so me and my wife pray about it, and we start the process. I meet with our deacon chairman, which was the guy I had to talk with to start the process. So I start the process with him. I walk back in my office, and this book I'd been working on 4 or 5 years ago, it's about 4 years into the process at that time. I sit down, and I had a missed call from Kyle Young, and my book had got contracted. It was the exact moment we started the process to step out. And so now we're on this, this journey, just really of faith of, I mean, I know for each of you, you step out and do these projects. And so this morning I'm coming to my quiet time, and the quiet time has really become, God, we need you to survive. We need your provision. And so I want to make sure I'm here so that you will provide. I mean, it's sad to say, but that's a lot of it. And it was just like speaking to my heart, just, Jake, this time is for you to come to me.
Mm.
And so I just wanted to remind you of that. I mean, you know that, but I want to take it on a different level, because I know we know ultimately our journey is not just about writing, it's about him.
Mm.
But it's not, but there's different layers of that. It's not just him in terms of making us a better writer, in terms of, just working with our character, and him just providing us. It's ultimately just us being, the Mary at his feet,
Mm.
not the Martha running around. It's for us to just to be there with him. And so I want to encourage you in all the things you're doing to know that ultimately, the difficulties, the victories, all of that is God bringing you to himself. And, I think, so me and my wife have been watching this show. Some of you, I don't know if I want to claim it. Martin, don't hold this against me. But we've been watching the Heartland show, horses, ranch, all this stuff. And so it's one of those things that she's been watching for now like 10 years. And I'd walk in, stand behind the couch, and get hooked up watching for about 15 to 20 minutes, but tell her I didn't like it. And so finally I've admitted I like it, and we sit down and watch it together. And so I went back and I watched, so I think we're on like season 10. I think they're up to like season 11. And I went back and watched the first couple episodes, and it was crazy to see what, now 10 years down the road,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm.
issues that were there, and how, I mean, it's a show and it's written, but that's how God works. These things that don't make sense now, he's going to bring to pass, and ultimately it's going to bring him, bring us to him. So that's the reminder this morning is God, or this afternoon, whenever time it is, that God is working in us to bring us to him. And for me this morning, it was, not even just the benefits of him, just him himself. It was, Jake,
Mhm.
this is the cool of the day that he was walking with Adam and Eve. We
Mhm.
need to just want to be in that moment and with him and let him just take care of the chips fall where they may and him take care of the rest.
It's hard.